Hi everybody, welcome to Common Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Tottenham. Today we are doing a preview of the match away at Turf Moor with Spurs, the visitors to Victor Kompany's Burnley. And to take us through all of the talking points and the areas we need to review, it would be, that's a review. I meant preview actually. That will be Chuma. Chuma will be joining us on the other side. In the meantime, come on ye Spurs. It's still ringing in my head, sorry.
Nice.
Welcome back to Come On You Spurs TV. With me today, I got Chuma. Chuma, how are you?
Fantabulously awesome. Looking forward to Kompanyball versus Angeball.
That's one.
Which of them?
Kompany versus Angeball. That's a good one.
Kompanyball, or in other words, the
two
copying Pep derby.
The two Pep copying draw, right? Amazing. Right.
Yeah, but before we get into the episode, let's just welcome new people. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Common You Spurs TV. Would love for you to enjoy this episode and further episodes coming. So if you could just do us this little favor and click on the subscribe button, like the video, click on the notification bell so you can get information about anytime we go live, post new videos. And if you'd all like to comment as well, we look forward to you.
Welcome to Come On You Spurs TV. Lord have mercy. Where did that come from?
That just moved. And if you could just, if you could comment and let us know exactly what you think about the episode, comment on things you want to hear us talk about as well. We'd be very grateful. Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you very much.
That's a very nice, like, you segued in, you're like double.
I know, right? Right, so I think we are in business here, aren't we? So, right, welcome back. Tottenham away to Burnley. Burnley, we know, when I say we, I mean people who've been following the English Premier League obviously have this identity with Sean Dyche, right? And you know, the interesting thing about it, that this is just a sort of aside now. Let me just deal with it very quickly, right? The way Sean Dyche talks, right? It has this, it's very similar to the way the Ange talks, because it has this
very gruff guys. Yes, gruff. I look forward to their joint press conference between Ange and Dyche. It'll be hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, unfortunately, well, I said we're hoping to face Everton, right? But yeah, when Sean Dyche was there, it's like you had that, so it's like Ange is almost like the Aussie Sean Dyche.
Aussie vocals on that, but their philosophies in football couldn't be so further apart.
All right, I know, but I mean, the reason I mentioned Sean Dyche was because of the identity that Burnley have been known for, as in the way they play, very tough to beat. Turf Moor being a very hard place to go to. Now, I'm not sure how that has translated into how team is set up now under Victor Kompany. And Victor's this is
Vincent
stint in the Premier League. I think he went to Belgian club before he got the role at Burnley, and he did a fantastic job bringing them up from the Championship. But as we all know, Championship level for football is a totally different kettle of fish coming up into the Premier League. I mean, I saw, I think that most of them did the first match against Man City, and I thought they did a good account of themselves, despite the scoreline. Had some really young boys there who I think caught my eye. One of them in particular was Holly Show, guy who's American and I think lives in Germany as well. Or sort of played in Germany before he came into Burnley. But yeah, I mean, I thought they did reasonably well. But even though they lost 3-0 in the end, but hey, that's Premier League football for you.
It is indeed. Yeah, he's been very good. So to follow on what you're saying now, Sean Dyche is. I mean, it's sort of like if you want to compare them to Spurs, it was the equivalent of having Mourinho and Conte in a different kind of way. Sean Dyche had, like, for me, I felt his football is a bit old school. 4-4-2. You know what you're getting. Wingers. He has one big striker. He probably plays off a smaller striker as well. He had people like J. Rodriguez, Ashley Barnes, guys like that are like real British kind of players. And then he had wingers like Dwight McNeil, who's now with him at Everton as well. Funnily enough, and they were just predictable. They were better than the Championship, but they couldn't live in the Premier League kind of thing because tactically, they would get found out. But they did a job. It's one of those clubs. Burnley was always one of those clubs that just did a job, and they could stay in the Premier League. They tried as much as possible to stay in the league, and then they got relegated. But it was an amazing thing that their ownership decided, look, we can go a different way. And so they parted ways with Sean Dyche, which a lot of people are like, oh, but like the guy is like an institution there. But it's when you want to grow, you want to grow. And then they got Vincent Kompany, who all of us knew from his time at Man City, great defender, captain, played for Belgium, and he had gone back to Anderlecht, his first side, and he managed them. And he performed well, but they just never won any. They didn't win, but he had a young squad, and you could see his ideas. He's very much a Pep disciple. And then he comes to Burnley, and he's like very unexpected. No one expected him to really do as well as he's done. And he completely turned the side around. He brought in some players from Belgium, some players on loan from Man City and other clubs, and he just completely changes. It was a 180 style change, which I think we can kind of understand and play around with, because at Spurs, we're doing the exact same thing. We're 180 away from reactive football of Conte. And it was such a breath of fresh air in the Championship. I think they scored the most goals, conceded the fewest, won the most games. It was everything. But you saw the signs, I think was it the FA Cup or League Cup, where they played Man City, and he went gung-ho. He went as himself. And I think it was more than the 3 they conceded in the Premier League. So the 3 they've conceded in the Premier League is actually telling you that they've improved on what they were last year. He came in, I think, with that one, he still played the same formation, 4-3-3. But this one, he played 5. When he played Man City, he had five players. He had like a back 3 that became a back 5 just to handle everything. So he's learning, but there's still a quality gap between him and everyone else. And that's what's showing. He has very young players, very gifted young players, but Premier League is a Premier League. You need to be seasoned in it. And I think if he survives this year, I look to see him doing more next year.
Yeah, always a big if in the Premier League, isn't it? If you survive, I mean, because it's very unforgiving, and the margins are usually very, very tiny, And I think I was watching a match. I don't know if I said this to you on air or was perhaps was off air. Speaking to someone else, and it was the match between Man City and Sheffield United, right? So Sheffield United equalized off what was termed by the pundits a Kyle Walker error, right? But I watched the match, right? I thought to myself, okay, he made a mistake in being fancy, but there was still about 4, 5, 6 passes before the actual goal itself. So they still had ample opportunity to put it right? However, when City went ahead, there was this guy who plays for Sheffield United who had the ball under control comfortably on the corner. He lost that ball inexplicably to, I don't know who he lost it to, Kyle Walker, I think, right? And Walker,
it was Kyle Walker then, staying Kyle Walker, yeah.
I didn't hear one single pundit even mention that guy's name or even say, that goal was as a result of, it was, okay, the story was more, Kyle Walker redeemed himself from nothing about the other guy being not particularly, great in that particular.
This is the media. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Are we watching in the same match, you know.
It's what they do. It's the thing when they target you as a player. You know, Raheem Sterling has gotten it a lot over the years as well. They just target you as a player, and then whatever you do gets highlighted more. It was a bad mistake by I didn't watch the game initially, and I just kept hearing that, oh my god, Kyle Walker's made a huge error, blah blah blah. When I watched it, same as you, I was surprised. I was like, okay, he lost it, but it didn't just go straight into goal. It came
Exactly.
out the box and then came back in. I'm like, so it's not really Kyle Walker's. His error was in giving away possession.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
he still had ample
he
opportunity to
had,
do it, you know. I mean, it's okay.
there were other counters, yeah. There were other counters, and someone said that to me on Twitter the other day about the about the game we just played with Fulham, and said, how come you're blaming Davinson Sanchez? Like, what did David Sanchez do? It's Van der Ven's own goal. Like, how could he have? And I said, that's the thing. He's in the vicinity. He's the guy, you know. And you can say, oh, he lost this guy. Well, there's so many other players that can be. That's why it's a team game, you know. But it is what it
I mean,
is.
there's not a team game to pundits, honestly. It doesn't sound great, you know. It's always good to have a big team or, you know, someone to blame or scapegoat, if you like, you know. Anyway, right. So we're coming into this match against Burnley off a defeat, albeit on penalties against Fulham in the League Cup midweek. You know, obviously Ange made wholesale changes, 9 changes, and we ended up losing the match. You know, we were maybe, if you have a look back at the match, I mean, I don't know if you come back to watch it, you know, if you have a look back at the match, you think maybe we didn't do too great in the first half. Perhaps we had enough in the second half to have maybe turned it around, but it wasn't to be. But there are a lot of narratives around what happened in that match in terms of, okay, the number of changes, the effect that had on the quality of the team, the output, and individual performances were highlighted, especially in relation to a few individuals, which we'll come to in a minute. But essentially, you think to yourself, hang on, okay, so we didn't do too great in that match, and a lot of people, I mean, first reaction, because we had it live after the match, and the first reaction was like, oh my god, oh my. I always say, you know, I mean, they're playing that. Okay, fine. I'm not saying that. I mean, comparing things as it happened, but if they gave Arsenal a good hand, played against 10 men, they came out with a result. Well, so they came up with a point in the end, and that's not mean feat at all. I mean, given the quality that they have up the road. Okay, I mean, I said it, yeah. Okay. I know. Yeah, you're not meant to admit that on this first one, but hey, we're balanced here. So let's just say it as it is. So what I'm saying essentially is that, look, we could have played better, right? But been a little bit more clinical. We could have been, you know, a lot more gung ho. We should have applied Ange's principle a lot better. But it's still a learning curve, if you like. You know, it's only the fourth match in fourth competitive match since it's taken over. You know, so there's still a lot of learning to do. I mean, you saw the match. What did you think?
Well, for me, I look. It's. I think the blame falls squarely on Ange's laps because I believe he made too many changes. He made way too many changes. 9 changes. You don't do that, especially if the team's a Premier League team, in my opinion. But I think Ange has a supreme belief in his system, his methods, and his philosophy. And granted, it works, but you don't do things like that. And one thing I give him credit for is he learns very quickly. He will never do that again. Come the FA Cup, he will not drop 9 players or swap 9 players around. I understand his reasoning at the end of the game was, you know, how else am I supposed to find about my players? I have to give them, and that's all well and good. But for Tottenham fans, nah, it just didn't sit right, and it didn't dampen. If it dampened anything, let's just say we went from 10 out of 10, and now we're like 9 out of 10 for him. You know, it didn't like crush everybody's hopes or feelings, but it was like, oh man, you misjudged this. This was our best chance. Like everybody feels, you know, and but this is the irony in everything is everyone feels the League Cup is winnable. But if you look at the history of who's won the League Cup in the last couple of years, it's strictly like a City fest, you know? So I'm like, so you're really saying that Spurs get in a final with City and we'll blitz them? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, you know, let's not. But it would have been good to go further because true to form, and this always happens with Spurs. Whichever team knocks us out gets an easier draw the next game. Something that I think they're facing Norwich or something. Someone that we would have brushed with this team that we played that lost. We could have probably brushed Norwich.
Yeah, well.
But for me, I looked at it and I felt that there's nothing wrong with those players individually, in my opinion, if they are paired with the players who we can term quote unquote our starting 11 now. If you pair them up in that starting 11, if you stick them in points with the remaining starting 11 on their own, they would have been brilliant. But together, it was just a bit too much because there was no real momentum from the people who have been playing. One, Richarlison. We've been waiting for him to score. Thank the Lord he scored, but he's not the guy who would make everybody else play better. It has to come from like midfield. So someone like we talked about it in the preview. I said I would keep Bissouma. I would just keep Bissouma, and I can put Lo Celso there. I'll probably leave Sa as well, and then I can take them off and bring on Skip, bring on Højbjerg. But Højbjerg playing, we said it before. A lot of people said it. Like Højbjerg isn't really a great six. He's very destructive, but he's a good man to bring on to shore up things. He's not an ideal. That's from the get go. From preseason, I could tell Ange doesn't feel this guy. Ange doesn't think this guy is his guy, but he respects him and he will play him. But he's not his guy. He wants a certain kind of something, and Bissouma has that. I think Bentancur can come in and even play that sixth position as well in a way that Ange would like. Not necessarily that both of them are six. Number six is a defensive midfielder for want of another word, but they can play it in a way that makes Ange happy. So I looked at it that way. But I felt for Mano Solomon, I felt for Perisic as well, and Perisic created the goal. Albeit that the guy who was marking him had gone off because of the curious incident of the football boots and the kit man just. But it was all in all, like I just don't see any. Like I think I'm so fully Optimus Prime at the moment. Like I don't see any downsides. I actually think it's good that we got dented because it brings everybody back to reality. It also makes them work harder now to overcome what they did in the last game, to say, okay, that was our wake up call. And that's I wrote on one of there's a Tottenham podcast, Extra Inch, and Windy has his Twitter thing, and Windy wrote something there about how getting rid of it's better to get rid of two players to get and I wrote there like, for me, I just think we're running away with this thing like it's a bad thing. It's a great thing to fail and learn from failure and learn very early in the season. It's better for these things to happen and to start happening and create this thread of, because someone was saying that you'd rather play your first team squad in the League Cup game and lose the game to Burnley. That's what someone said, and people were cheering him on. And I was like, but you're the same fans now that if we'd done that and lost to Burnley, you would all be complaining that we've dropped 3 vital points that could come and bite us in April. So you have to make up your mind what you really want. I get it that we wanted a deep cup run and we've been made fun of because we've gone out in the first round. But like you said, EPL opposition, Marco Silva has drilled that side for over 2 years now. So he's where we want to get to in terms of being automatic with our play. They out front footed us, if that's a word, in the first half because they know what they're doing. We are trying to get there with both sets of players. We will get there, but I just found it great learning curve. Good to get tanned early. We go to Burnley and we put this behind us.
Right, so which brings us to, the match, Turf Moor, proper, right? So, sides that we got to put out there in terms of a formation and philosophy. Okay, we've had 3 matches so far. First match against Brentford ended up 2-2 draw. We saw glimpses of Angeball in full flow. We probably didn't do too great on the field of transition, which resulted in the goals that we gave away. And second match against Manchester United, again, some of the transitions were showing that okay, we were a little bit susceptible to the counter attack when you saw things like chances given away to Rashford, to Garnacho, and Bruno Fernandes in that match, which they didn't take, thankfully. And we obviously bossed the second half and sort of, essentially played them out of the park on that occasion. A totally different match in Bournemouth, where we mostly dominated the play except for maybe about 15 minutes at the start of the second half. But then again, we sort of calmed things down, but able to come away with this 2-goal and clean sheets in 2 matches so far. Now, the approach Burnley will take will probably be a bit different from all the matches we've seen so far because, okay, if I remember the match against City, which is the match that I saw, they kind of took a really, really conservative approach. They were like almost like on the counter attack type situation, which I think a lot of teams, when they begin to understand how we play in terms of possession, turnovers, and stuff like that, probably the mode that they'll adopt against us in most of the matches that we will end up playing this season. The question is, will they be skillful enough? Will they have enough quality to obviously turn those opportunities that may arise from those situations into goals? Or it will just be a question of saying, okay, we'll survive those situations and go away and come away as winners. What do you think?
Well, yeah, you're right. The very first game they played against City, like I said, it was five at the back. As soon as they lost possession, it was five man back, and it was very conservative. City had the better players, and City have had more control. The next game was against Villa because they had a game against Luton Towns, and
Yeah,
that was postponed
postponed
because, of
because
course,
Luton's.
Luton are trying to get their stadium up to code.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they played Villa, and Villa Villa beat them 3-1. But it was a good game by Burnley. They came out to play, but Villa they counter press in a kind of different way with Emery. Emery's mastered a form. Emery sort of plays. Emery's like I'd say he's a direct or conservative version of what De Zerbi does in a very different kind of way. He plays through you as well, but he's more defensive, and then that. While De Zerbi isn't defensive, he uses it offensively. So I'll take Villa like a mirror image to think. If people disagree, they can come on the comments and write that. But that's the thing. I think if you watch Villa's games, you see it, and that tells you exactly what it is that's going to happen with Burnley. How good will our midfield start? It's the midfield where everything is won and lost in the Premier League, and
Absolutely.
especially in this game because Vincent Kompany puts a lot on his midfielders to conduct things. I watched them throughout their championship run. I enjoyed watching them championship run, and his midfielders were just getting things to tick and move. So if Bissouma, Sarr, and Madison can get a hold of that really early, we stand a good chance. And they also favor a high line if they're trying to attack as well. So that will leave spaces in behind for Kulusevski or Son or Richarlison as well playing. So I favor it. I look forward to the game because I think with Fulham, we saw a team attack Spurs for the first time, like really, really attack Spurs. Man United did, but Man U was more transition counter kind of thing. But Fulham came for us in the same way we have been coming for other teams. So I think Burnley will do the same. I think Burnley would have looked at that and said, let's try that same thing. But they don't, I don't think they have the same Premier League experience Fulham have now had playing that the way they do. And so I just look at us passing through them. So it'll be a good game. I think we may concede a goal, but I still see us emerging victorious, and just especially I think the players will want to. I think there's a chip on their shoulder for losing to Fulham. I just think there's a chip. So I think they are going to come out. Same with Ange. You're just going to come out and say, look, grab them by the throat and keep your foot on their neck if you get them down.
Interesting. So let's have a quick look at what we think the lineup will look like against Burnley. Right. So in goal.
Well, it's always going to be Venom, the carrier.
The carrier. Okay. All right. So we'll move on very quickly. Right back. So got an option between Poro and Emerson, presumably, right?
I think for whatever reason, which is what I said before, I think Poro has turned the tide. I think Poro is now is now viewed as the more. I think Poro is more creative in the inverted role than Emerson is, and that's not to say Emerson is poor in it. It's just after that first game and after the Manchester United game, you can see Poro defensively he wasn't that bad. He's actually better defensively as well. And Romero is stepping in to cover his flank once he knows he's moving forward or inverted. So I think it's going to be Poro on that side,
Okay. Romero, okay.
Van de Ven, and I think Udogi comes back again. So it's back to the same back four against Bournemouth.
Good stuff. All right. So middle of the park. I agree with you, by the way. I mean,
look, I just think we've worked out what our 11 is. That's my view. And middle of the park, same as Bournemouth again. Bissouma has to come back. Pape Matisar has to play, and Madison controlling everything.
All right. So yeah, that's fair enough. So you don't think he'll change Pape Matisar for someone like Lo Celso?
I heard Lo Celso was carrying an injury, so Lo Celso was left out of the Argentine squad yesterday.
Oh,
so
right.
They said it's because he's carrying an injury. So I don't even think he'll be in the match squad going into this game. So it's only I think that leaves us with Skip as the only midfielder. And Skip isn't Pape Matisar has won that battle.
Højbjerg?
Well, will Højbjerg we have until 11 p.m. to find out if he's still going to be a Spur. So according to what's on Twitter, if you believe Twitter, Fulham have lodged a 25 million pound bid. Spurs are holding out for full 30. They said they put add-ons to make it 30, and he's keen on leaving because I think Ange has made it clear to him that you're not going to start. I think Ange is that kind of person. Like I believe he had that discussion with Kane, and Kane told him, "I'm leaving. Are you staying? Are you leaving? I'm leaving. Cool. Let's play that way." And I think he's someone that tells you to your face that you're either staying or going. And he's told this guy you're not starting. So Højbjerg wants to leave, and I prefer him going to Atletico Madrid. But if it has to be a Premier League move, I was against the links to Manchester United. I was like, no. You can't give Højbjerg to him. Like Reguilon's gone. Reguilon wasn't starting for us. He wasn't like a main fixture in Southern. Even though we all kind of like him, respect him, and admire him, he wasn't really like. But if Højbjerg joins Man United, my goodness, no, that can't. So Højbjerg would be on the bench if he stays, but I doubt it. I think he's going to go.
So it's a little bit like Agent Reguilon, go and ruin them for us.
But you never know in football. It's an amazing thing. And also we didn't put an option to buy. There's no option to buy. So that's a very strange one. That what if Eric Ten Hag can unlock something regular and regular now comes back and says, "Hey guys, I've done so and so in Man United and I want to place."
Yeah, you never know. That will move Davis on and hopefully get you guys regular.
Exactly, and then the fans get what they want. They want Dyer, Davis, Sanchez to move on, right? So that could possibly be the death knell for Ben Davies as a Tottenham Hotspur player. You never know.
So I mean, front. The attack. What does the attack look like?
So I don't know the state of. Is Richarlison injured or is he fit? Yeah,
I mean, I don't. Was he in the Brazil squad? Do you know?
I don't know if he was. I haven't checked their squad. But
right, okay.
If he's fit, it's the same old. It's Deki, Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Son. But
you don't think you might bring on Mana Solomon or Perisic?
I honestly would like to see if Richarlison is injured. I would just move Son to this forward spot, and I would put Perisic. I just think there's so much from Perisic. Perisic hasn't really let us down since since preseason. Every time he's played, in every game he's played, even in the losses in preseason, he's come out with 7 or 8 out of 10 in every game. He puts in very good balls. He's just very controlling, experienced player. And I would really like I'm really not feeling Son and Kulusevski as wingers. Honestly,
I thought
I
they did
think
a
it wastes.
good account on themselves against Bournemouth. I mean,
they did, but it still wasn't.
That's 2 matches, but they haven't quite hit those heights that we know them that they're capable of. You know,
I think Kulusevski will take a lot of. I think he'll take a lot of encouragement from the game, scoring that goal. You saw his celebration because he hasn't scored in 20 something matches. Yeah. He was like, yeah, I did something right, you know. And I just the thing about Kulusevski is I've always said this thing about football players. I used to say it to my uncle a lot. I said sometimes I wonder if they don't watch themselves or compare themselves to a player and say, what's this guy doing? Let me watch his games. And I look at him and I'm like, you have Robin, all these people that are like you, just these left-footed guys. If you copy them, if you can emulate them, you will be a killer. Everybody knows you're going to go to your left foot.
You know?
Yeah, everyone knows you're going to go to your left foot, but you're so slow about it. That's why they get it off you. If it doesn't matter if you're cutting, but you cut in quickly and you produce.
Yeah. Right, so
you know, and that's the thing, yeah.
We've got a starting 11, presumably. Let's just have a quick look at let's try our hand at predicting the scoreline. I think we did quite well the last time, didn't we? We said, okay, 2-goal margin, and okay, fine, clean sheet, which was a bonus, I think, you know. So this time around, what do you reckon? Away to Burnley, Turf Moor,
same thing.
To go, Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. kickoff.
Same thing, 2-goal margin, 3-1 or 2-0.
Stick to one, come on. Yeah, stick your neck out.
Okay. I honestly think we'll concede because I think they have these very gifted young men playing for them. So I think 3-1. I'll go 3-1.
You go 3-1. Okay. I'll actually go 3-0 actually, but yeah, I'll go 3-0 and we don't concede. And
also Sonny scoring. I think Sonny get off the mark.
Yeah. Okay.
He likes their ground.
Good. So Sonny scoring 3 goals. I said 3 goals. I agree. Sonny scoring, and maybe Richarlison scoring his first league goal as well. So yeah. So let's do that.
Also, let's add this as well. There was a whole thing going on online about the fact that we wore that third kit, and everyone was saying it was the Manchester United effect. Where you remember that game where they wore the grey kit and Alex Ferguson had them take that nonsense off, and that was the end. That kit, I think, was partly to blame for that game. People,
yeah,
you know?
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't happen again. Probably the regular white or
the
black blue.
Yeah, we can't afford to wear that ever again.
Anyway.
Because I don't even know what color it is. For those of you watching, what color was the third kit? They said it was a sort of salmon pink or brownie. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah, well, we'd love to hear from you if you know what that color was for the match. You know, for against Fulham. And yeah, I mean, it's so we're looking forward to the match. 3 p.m. kickoff. You can join us live on the post-match live stream. It will start at 5:45, and yeah, we'll be here to hopefully Chuma 2 can join us.
hopefully I will. Yeah. I think might not being around in the Fulham game also cost us as well. So I will be around this time. I'll be around.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. All right, thank you guys. It's been lovely having you. And yeah, we'll see you on Saturday, 5:45 p.m. on the live stream. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.